Welcome back to Off the Iron with Rob
and Andre.
Hello, hello. So, hey, we've had a great season.
Yes.
We just got some great stats that we wanted to share with everybody. And Andre and I were going over it, and what a great show this one's going to be, because not only do we have some good stats, we got some good GPAs. And I want to start off with kudos to all of our players, all three teams that have really great GPAs and stats.
Yep. Yep.
Do you have those right there for you,
I do.
Andre?
So let's start with the men's one team. Congratulations to the men's one team with an average GPA of 3.4. Okay. They have 4 members of the team that got a 4.0 and 14 members that made Dean's List. Okay.
There we go.
To M1, who also happen to be very highly ranked nationally, by the way. So
they are. Right now, they're 13-4-1, if I got their schedule right. Yep. I think Coach Feeney is doing a fantastic job, watching them be able to balance their practice schedule, their travel schedule to get that kind of GPA. We talk about what it is to come to Utah. We talk about the great snow. We talk about the great university. But, when I look at schools, and I'll say this when I was looking at this with Reed, I want him to be around successful people.
Correct.
And when you've got a GPA like they have, what a great, triple threat, if you will, with the GPA, the great school, everything outside of campus. Way to go, M1 team.
Yep. And so then we move to our M2 team, who very similar, a 3.3 GPA, 2 members on the 4.0 list, and a whopping 18 on the Dean's List. Way to go.
That's great. To make the Dean's List, you're at 3.5 GPA or higher. Fantastic. I'm going to throw something in there for the on the M2 team. Reed got to do study abroad, and that's something I saw with Utah, and we've seen that with several other teammates and around, whether it's around school, if I can say that without. But he's getting to go to Prague, Czechoslovakia this summer.
Wow.
Study abroad. He's going to get credit for business law, and Jack Gubler is going to go with him. I just found that out today. So them two are going to go together, and I think that's going to be a great time for them to go travel, study abroad over there with University of Utah study abroad program. So congratulations and
congrats to them.
That's going to be fun.
And then we have the women's team. The women's team right up there with M1 with a 3.4 GPA. They have one of the women that got a 4.0 and 12 on the Dean's List. So we've got all 3 teams double digits on the Dean's List. And, as we mentioned last time, while this is geared towards academics, somehow in all that, the W1 team also happened to get Hallie, who we will interview here soon, as a member of the World University Games. So they're just pumping out great human beings over there on the women's side as well. So congrats to all of them. Congrats to all 3 teams. I know that we can speak more definitively about the 2 team because that's where we reside. But to your point, those numbers that you just heard, that resonates as part of the school. It's the expectations. No matter what sport you play, no matter what you do. We came in as parents. You're now a parent of a junior. I'm a parent of a sophomore. You came in, and the expectations were set early on that academics are number 1, right? And it's the numbers we just read off proved it for sure.
Congratulations. That was great. And so now they've got a big game this week.
They do.
We've got senior night, which I hope we get a great turnout for against Boise State, which is not going to be an easy game. You want to win senior night, and you really need to win Boise State. So our rankings right now, Andre, we're coming in on the ACHA website at number 2. And we talked about how great that is. If we can stay there, we get the bypass regionals and go straight over to nationals. So Boise State coming in, I looked them up. They are right behind us on the ACHA rankings. They're at 17 wins and 9 losses. Not going to be an easy game coming in because we showed up at their barn and won big. I got to think they're going to want to come over to our rink and show up on senior night.
For sure. And, their coach is talking to them about those rankings. They jumped, up there right behind us. They and Weber are tied for a spot behind us. And so their coach is talking to them about being able to ruin senior night for us and gain some points on us and maybe jump to that 2 spot. Now, if we win, we are, it's just a cliche in sports. I know it, but we are kind of in control of our destiny, so to speak, as far as the games left. We have a 6-point lead right now over Boise and Weber. So we're kind of controlling our destiny. Both of those teams, Boise and Weber, do have an additional 1 to 2 games at hand over us. So that's why we need to take care of this weekend.
I hope we get a good showing. Our broadcast team does a great job. I'll have to watch it from the house this Saturday on, Saturday, January 25th, to watch how we do there. It's tough to watch senior night. I remember my senior night. I knew, my time was over, and some of my most fun times being at the University of Tennessee was being around my teammates. And it was tough that last time. I will tell you, it's one of those things when you watch these kids, you're proud of their graduation, what they're moving on to. And we've already seen that twice, Reed has and myself. And now we're about to see another senior night. So, but I like to see a good crowd. Love to see the parents coming in for that. This is going to be a big one.
It is. Yes.
Boise State. Not going to be an easy game.
No, that's a good way to put it, for sure.
Yep. So that being said, after we Boise State, we go back into the Wasatch Cup, which I'll get to meet up with you there.
Yes.
I don't know if the women's team or the M1 team is going to be there. I hope they are. I always like to stay around and watch them play. But it'll be interesting to see we'll need to catch up. Where is the M1 team doing in their tournament?
Yeah, we'll have to look that up before our next podcast so we can bring some people that info.
I know I was looking at the W1 team, the women's team. They went 10 wins out of 11 games earlier in the year. Right now, looking at the stats, they're showing 10-10. So it shows you they kind of had a little rough start and a little rough there at the end. But, hey, they got a great team. They're just fun to watch. They're very finesse. Do y'all have any women's hockey there at your high school where your kids are?
Yeah, we have a U19 team, and we have a U18 team and a U16 team. So there's not much women's hockey in Ohio, so I give a lot of credit to the girls and their parents because a lot of travel has to happen to play really good high-level hockey here. There's a lot of trips to Detroit, a lot of trips to Pittsburgh, things like that. So, but I love watching women's hockey. I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Here in Dallas, on our AAA team, we have Dallas Elite. And there is a women's Dallas Elite team. And so the girls here will play up through high school, and they usually switch over to the Dallas Elite team. But there again is that travel. There's a lot of expense. They have to travel. I've seen their banners. Several of the girls have gone on to play different colleges. And I've even mentioned that to our local program here, to be looking at Utah, how great of a program it is there. Yeah. So
then after the Wasatch, we move on. Right. And for anybody that's interested, it's a little ways away. Obviously, we have all the playoffs and stuff like that. And as we get closer to that, we will talk about that and we'll share that information with everybody that's interested. But then we get into what's not too far away is tryouts, right?
Correct. So we got tryouts April 11th and 12th. You got to sign up now. I got a funny story. I don't think I ever told you about our tryouts. So Reed had tryouts, and we were flying out the next day.
Okay.
But the night before, I got Reed and his brother's tickets for the Dallas Stars versus Toronto Maple Leafs. They wanted to see Austin Matthews, of course. And so I'm at home, and my wife, Rebecca, is looking at something, and she realized that Reed had a temporary driver's license because he was switching over to the Texas license. And she just had this bad feeling when she saw and went onto the TSA website, and it said, temporary driver license are not accepted at the TSA checkpoint at the airports. So we had a flight the next morning, which we quickly figured out we're not going to make that flight. So they drove in from the game. They came in at around 11 o'clock, And then I'd made the decision, we're getting in the truck and we're driving. Me, Reed, Tanner, and Tyler drove through the night. It's 19 hours from Dallas to Salt Lake. We we just took turns driving. We got in about 2 hours before he went on the ice, maybe 3, and he had to go on to now Olympic ice. Been in the truck for 19 hours, and not knowing a soul.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I tryouts, and it was something. And then once the tryouts were over, we still had school the next day. So Tyler was in college; he had class on Monday. We drove through the night again,
Again?
and so that he could be at his classes on Monday. And yeah, we, had we not done that drive, his life would have been definitely changed. But it was well worth it. How much he's enjoyed being on the team, but that was his tryout experiences. He had to drive through the night and through the mountains. It was rough.
Well, then he'll save that story for when he has kids and his kids are complaining, and he'll say, "You have no idea what it was like when I was young," and he'll have his story for sure.
Yeah.
So.
The for your trials I told you last podcast, my trials were 23 kids showed up and coach would take 20, and maybe I'm exaggerating, maybe we had 25 kids, but were your tryouts where you played anything difficult? Were there were there any fights?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 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 They brought in a ton of freshmen. It ended up that only, I think, 3 of us made the team out of probably 30 freshmen that came in. And so it was, the guys that were there, all the freshmen, a lot of East Coast kids. I say that, being one of them. So I'm not, trashing anybody. Kids come in thinking they're all hot, you know what I mean? So all these guys that are already there are coming in, putting all of us in our place, whether it be the hits, the fights, all that kind of stuff. And then eventually, I think it was only 3 of us made the team. So, wow. So it was a tough tryout. It really was. But it is what it is, right? Like it made for a good program.
Before you and I jump on this pod, I'm getting soft wave therapy on my knee. So my left knee, has been given out a little bit as we've gotten older. I still play hockey, for those that don't know, and enjoying it, but my left knee has given me a little problem. So I've started this soft wave therapy. I told Rob about it. His shoulder, he was needing it, and it's really helping. And so I still have 1 year of eligibility left. and I was just sitting, hey, I might want to get in on this championship run one day. And
there you go.
But yeah, my wife likes Tom Brady.
Oh, geez.
And this book
here doesn't, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so this book is about dieting and exercise. This guy is, this is crazy. But maybe if I get on that book with some soft wave therapy, I can go get my master's at Utah, and maybe coach might give me 1 more year on the team. And
great. I think we've talked about this before. Some of the ages of some of the guys on these teams that we face, I don't think you'd be far off some of these other teams, right?
I'm a 56-year-old on the team, but
yeah, exactly.
Of course, I'm joking, but I always enjoy when during the summer I get to skate with Reed and some of his other college friends that are from the area, and watching them. Their talent is just so different. My game was all about dump and chase. We were pounding the boards. We didn't have the skill, the puck handle, the dangles, and everything that they do. And today, you don't really see them dump and chase much. Now, when they do and they get that puck below the goal line, they really can create havoc, because to be a defenseman and not make up a bad pass, that first pass out of the zone is so critical, because it's either a turnover or it's out of the zone. What you're looking at there when you're dump and chase, I'm trying to get that D to turn their backs to us. But today, I don't see as much. They're more about speed and finesse. How was your team in college? Were y'all more finesse and puck handling, or more dump and chase grinding?
No, we were more finesse. The dump and chase was kind of frowned upon where I played. We had Speedy smaller, speedy wingers, right? Guys with really, really soft hands, really good hands. I was kind of more of a big Ophi defenseman, right? So I wasn't looked at to carry the puck out of the zone. I was looking to make the pass, and do that kind of stuff and get the puck in the zone. Kind of like what Utah's playing, right? Like we have some all around the board, all the lines. We have great lines of forwards that can really gain the zone in a controlled way, right? I'm not a big fan of the dump and chase hockey. I know they played a lot at the NHL level. Some of the teams do. Conceptually, I get it, right? Because you do want to get to the point where you can make that, especially if you're moving forward. If you can get the defenseman to have to pivot, then you can gain a step on them. I get it. But at the same time, when you're a team like our M2 team and you have the players that can control the puck, why sacrifice by throwing it in to gain control again when you have the confidence, and Coach Fournier has the confidence in our guys to hold on to the puck, gain control, and set up, right? If you don't have that kind of player, I get it. But I think right through all of our lines, we have the kind of players that could do that.
Yeah, I've kind of seen a balance. There's times where I'd love to have Coach mic'd up, because I don't know, and honestly, I don't ask Reed what he says. I stay out of that. He and I can have some small talks, but it's more of a dad-son kind of thing. But to watch how they play, I think it depends on the team. When those teams are pinching, and then the safe way to get them off of your back is high off the glass, get through the neutral zone fast, and get it deep. And then they start softening up and start cheating as they get more tired. And it goes back to how much depth they have. And if you can catch your first line, second line on their fourth kind of thing. We do sometimes have that long stretch pass. We're able to gain that zone with puck handling control, and we get that cycling going and the shots. So I see both. I also see it depends on who we play. And I think that's one thing that makes us very difficult to play against is, are they carrying it through the zone with speed, or are we dump and chase? I mean, when you've got some of our bigger guys going hard down into the corners and you're a defenseman with your back to them, I don't want to be that guy.
No.
I mean, and you're making that chance pass back and forth, or, for that turnover, you got to be careful there. But I do think you're right. We have that balance.
We do.
We're a hard team to play against. It's fun to watch that. And then trying to see how the teams play us, whether we're forechecking or how we're
it's fun to watch them, because I watch the teams that we play adjust their forecheck throughout the game. They'll start a certain forecheck in the first period. They may make an adjustment late first period into the second period when all of a sudden they're running a different forecheck because they want to try and catch us. But we have really smart, intelligent players that recognize that. I'm sure Coach Fournier or one of the coaches on the bench is letting them know, hey, they've switched to a pinch or they switched to a trap forecheck. But we counter it, right? So we're always keeping those other teams on their toes. So it's a fun game to watch, I say, for our M2 team for sure.
Did you ever play that left wing lock?
No. I'm familiar with it, but we never played that. No.
How did your dad in the NHL, was the NHL for a long time just a dump and chase? I mean,
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Big grinders.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Very few. My dad was on the smaller side, so he was more of a puck handler. At 5'9", right, and with good hands. But yeah, that's exactly what it was, because there wasn't as much finesse. I mean, they're great players. Don't get me wrong, but there just wasn't that much put into the game back then as far as the studying and all the different plays, all the different options. So
yeah, I can't say how the M1 style is. I know they're fast. When you watch them, they're very finesse, great soft hands. The women's team, they're not. Haven't seen them really do much of a dump and chase. They may correct me, but they're very finesse carrying, since they don't have the heavy checking. They get in there and finesse the puck. I see them cycle a lot of shots. But one of the things when you think of shots, all three of our goalies are so good. They control their rebounds. And so when you're a team going in against our goalies and you just give a lackadaisical shot from outside, it's almost like a turnover. And so they've got to think about how they're doing it. And we see the same thing. Are we getting in front of net? Are we getting tips, rebounds? How's our goal scoring? Because I don't see any team we're playing that we're going to be taking shots, high clappers from the blue line and scoring.
Right.
These goalies on the other team are just as good.
Agreed.
They're and our goalies today better than the goalies we used to have. You think?
Oh yeah. I mean, first of all, the training and the equipment allows them to be so much faster.
Yeah.
So, but the skill levels there too. I'm not just going to say it's because of the equipment, right? But their training is such that, and their ability, right? If you see what some of these goalies do nowadays, like pregame or what they work on, right? As far as their peripheral vision, how they practice multiple balls juggling so they can work on their peripherals, or even if they just stand there. If you watch any of these goalies sometimes standing on the bench early before even pregame warmups, right? And you just see them on the bench and their eyes are darting all over the place at the rink. That's all part of them working on this peripheral thing that back in the day, that wasn't, when we were playing, our goalies had to be crazy, right?
Yeah.
They had to be crazy.
Now they take shots and they rebound them to themselves and catch them.
Yep.
And how they control things. It's I had a goalie, he used to catch with his blocker and his glove at the same time. All the time. He would just block it and catch it, put it down, play it, and sometimes these goalies make me nervous. But when you look at like Ryan Winkleman, is he a goalie or is he a fighter? What's he supposed to do out there? Because we just had him get ejected going in. I saw it with his mask off. I couldn't see him very well, but I was curious if the goalie was going to get ejected. And sure enough, he got ejected while he had a shutout going. So he had a shutout the night before, had one going then. I was hoping for it, but when they ejected him, I think his dad told me he didn't think he threw a punch. But when you see a goalie get to a fight, you worry about that blocker coming in and picking your schnauzer. But he got in there. But hey, I was glad to see him jump in there with his team. Here he is, a rookie. He got in the mix. We had 4 guys ejected. That's a tough time when you're playing a team and you're winning so much. The other team just gets frustrated. They just take their liberties. They don't have anything to lose. And, I hate seeing a team. I've been on both sides of it. Yep. But they start running liberties at us, trying to, whether they're stick checking us or what they're doing, and it gets frustrating. You look for the referee to control that. But when they don't, this is what happens.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah.
A little brouhaha. Now we've got 4 guys out for the Boise State game.
Yeah. So it's tough. But, luckily, you and I, we don't have to hash it out again, but we've talked of numerous episodes about the depth of our bench, though, right? So I feel bad for the guys that are out, but I feel confident the team will the team will be fine.
I'll give you one. I know a goalie, and he was talking to his team between the second and third. He had a shutout going, and he told his team, "Hey guys, I got this shutout going. I need y'all to work hard for me. I want to get this donut." The puck drops. It goes back to his defenseman. His own defenseman turns around and takes a shot on him. And as a warning, don't ever talk to us like that again.
Yeah.
Or I'll break your own shutout. But
what goalies were using that word in a game? I mean, goalies.
That's a true story he took, and I thought that was a smart thing to do. Don't talk to us like that, and we'll break it for you. So anyway, well, listen, that was a good one. I know you've got some work to get to, so do I, but I'm going to get back to my Tom Brady diet and some more knee therapy, and maybe next year.
Let's remind our listeners if they can be there at the game Saturday night. If not, Utah Hockey on YouTube. Catch the game. Anybody that's prospective that's able to catch a hold of this episode, April 11th and 12th, the tryouts. But even prior to that, if you're a prospective student and you can come out for the Wasatch Cup, if your parents want to come out, let's say you're going to visit the school. Maybe you've gotten in, you're not sure, and you want to visit the school. That would be a great weekend to go do a school visit because you can also catch a lot of hockey, meet a lot of the parents, meet us and the parents, and hang out and just get a great feel for what life is like as a parent and as a student athlete. Yeah. So Wasatch Cup the weekend after next.
Very good. Hey, have a good one. Good to see you again.
Good to see you
in a week.
Okay. Have a great day.
All right. Bye.